morning, everyone. This is Gil with Camppatton Family Compound, and it is time for Friday night in the Homestead. And tonight's topic is homeschooling an option for you? And how's everybody doing out there? This is the first time I looked at myself up here with the background I chose. It's like, oh wait, well, all those people. and there's more too. He's got more going on over here. All right. Well, first of all, let's get over here and say hi to everybody, as all the trolls are suddenly fleeing because I don't know why. Maybe they got to subscribe to make comments. And Mundo. All right. So we got more just came in. So let's get over here and look at them. First one in was Prepper Girl. A good comment right here. It is worth the cool, excellent. I want to address something on special needs too here once we get done with saying hi to everybody. Next one in was Crew 1351. Then CB at Hugo Homestead, followed by Geeky Gardens, Little Lone Prepper. Everybody saying hi to each other. Moon over Miami's in here. And those are the ones making comments. So, yeah, all the trolls have left the building. Yay! Don't need trolls in here causing problems. All right. So, dang it, I left it on the other computer. Shoot. Anyways, there is a statistic graph chart that I forgot to put on the PowerPoint before I moved it over this channel, this computer here, showing the amount of homeschooling from back at Revolutionary War times, and then the Industrial Revolution. It kind of dropped down. And then it really went nose to the bottom when Rockefeller bought and paid for a bunch of people in government to say, oh yeah, we need to have education. We need to have schools are the way to go. I mean, that's when he bought and paid for the medical, the American Medical Association, got it set up. It was just an association. It was a club. Is what it was originally, and somehow he got it turned into a legal entity. But anyways, things went down, and Rockefeller's thing was, we don't need to be teaching thinkers. We need to be teaching workers. In other words, he wanted people that are who are dumb and just will do the work. And Shady Hill's in here now too. Anyways, and recently, since the froze from the 70s, it started making a comeback for slowly making inroads coming back of homeschooling. And of course, there was a big pushback from all the school boards. Oh, your kids are going to be socially deprived. They're going to be awkward. They're going to be this, that, and the other. And now they say to the school boards, well, at least my kid isn't curling up in the corner, identifying as a cat and peeing in a box of sand in the corner in the classroom. But yeah, I mean, the numbers have been just climbing. Let me look at something here real quick here for you. See if this comes up with anything. Okay. The only thing I can come up with here on it, of course, the AI totally backed out of it as far as giving you numbers it knows about, because it's been programmed to do that. But it says here, homeschooling is on the rise. In the 70s, about 13,000 kids were homeschooled in the U.S. Today, over 5 million. That's not a niche choice anymore. It's becoming a prevalent as a healthy alternative. So let me get. So let me go over here back to this. There we go. So let's look at some things I brought up here. So education or indoctrination. We noticed this when our kids were going through high school, even in elementary school a little bit, in California. The majority of the teachers were far left and were pushing a far left doctrine and stuff in schools. And of course, one of the big things is, oh, if your kid gets in a fight, and if someone attacks your kid and your kid, clobbers the other one instantly, your kid's getting expelled, not the one that started the fight. It's like, hello? Yeah. There are a lot of things going on that was going on at the time, and they were teaching about revised facts about American history, and in some cases they totally stopped saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school. And so, and Howie's here. He says he's watching the ads. Thank you, Howie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And one of the things we found out with my oldest grandson who has autism, the school was getting federal money and state money for every student that was special needs. Well, we found out afterwards, and after the principal had retired, that he kept saying, "Oh, we're trying to find." Every time my daughter would call and say, "Hey, where's his special workers that you are receiving money for?" Well, we can't find anybody willing to work. Well, if he wasn't looking. He was diverting the money to other programs, and some other people have said, yeah, some of those programs, his wife was listed as a contractor, so they were pocketing a lot of the money, and they weren't getting the physical therapy and I forget, baseline instructors or whatever to be in the school, and and basically he had been lying to not just us but other parents that he couldn't get anybody to do it. Well, he refused to work with the established companies out there that work with the program for the state, and they had plenty of people to work, but the schools weren't calling them to put them to work. So but yeah, it's like, so are they educating or indoctrinating? My daughter, when she grew and she turned 18, she registered to vote as a Democrat. And my wife and I are both like, "What are you doing?" Well, this is what my teacher said. And I finally said, "Your teacher is a left-wing fanatic who's been lying to you." And she got all pouty and stuff. But when she went off to college, she went to a religious college. And suddenly everybody else there was of opposite mindset. They had the same mindset as her parents did. And she's like, "What's going on?" And they, one of her friends that said, "Yeah, where did you go to school?" "Oh, California." "Yeah, they were teaching you to be democratic drones. They were not teaching you any skills there." And that's what a part of it was. They weren't teaching the useful skills. They were just brainwashing. And that's what a lot of the schools are doing. Even in red states, the teachers are in there trying to push their left-wing agenda. One here in Bingham County, there was a teacher trying to do that. She was put up the gay pride flag in the schoolroom. All the kids went home, told their parents. The parents immediately were calling the school, complaining about it. And some of the parents went down and cornered the principal of the middle school and said, "Hey, this, that is not allowed. The American flag is the only flag allowed to be in there by state statute. You need to tell her to get it out, and you need to fire her." And there was such an uproar that went around the school that in 4 days they had to fire her for the violation. And parents actually filed lawsuit against her, suing her, and she left the state. So yeah, they're trying to do a lot of brainwashing, but useful skills that can be taught better at home than in the classroom. You can do this a lot easier. Cooking. Even though home ec is making a comeback into certain school districts, for the vast majority of schools, they don't teach it anymore. And there are so many millennials, I forgot the other one, and Gen Alphas and the one in between that don't know how to cook, don't know how to sew on a button, don't know how to put an iron-on patch on, don't even know how to iron. And let me switch it around here. There we go. They don't even know how to iron, let alone, you put in a proper, do proper creases and stuff, how to put iron on patches. They don't know how to sew. And these are things that can be taught and get credit for in homeschooling. Some of the other things that, other skills, going into education, basic American history and your own state actual history from when your state was a territory or if it's one of the original colonies, what they had to do, what their state constitution was when they set up as an independent state. Yeah, Moon. I graduated in 75 from a very rural school, and they had home ec there. I think only 2 boys took home ec ever, and all the rest of them were in wood shop, metal shop, or auto shop. And all the girls took the home ec classes and stuff. But yeah, it was one of it was just one of the things. But a few years later, it was like when some of my younger cousins or older, not nieces and nephews, but nieces and cousins' kids, my older cousins, their kids, they weren't teaching any of that stuff in school. And yeah, it's just like useful skills. I mean, when I was there, going through wood shop, drafting. I did drafting because it was fun, and I had a cool teacher explain how to draw buildings, how to draw plans for something you're going to make in metal shop, how to and they don't teach any of that now. My oldest son, when he went to community college, the high school he went to didn't have any type of drafting or any of those type skill things, and so he wanted to learn CAD auto programming and stuff and doing all that. And he had to, it took him an extra 2 semesters because he had to start at some basic stuff there before he could get into the program, because they weren't teaching it in the high schools. No, I have not seen it. Of course, it's not being publicized in mainstream media, probably. It's probably coming out other ways on that. But yeah, I can believe it. Excuse me. Ooh, I forgot to fill up my water. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things that that you can do so much in homeschooling, and not only that, but there's actual companies out there that have curriculum and have hired tutors or assistants, and they can help the kids online. And some companies just run most of the school, like 4 hours of school a day online, covering the basics of mathematics, reading, writing, as depending on the age group they're teaching. And so the parents only teaching part of the day, and the online course, interactive online course, is doing the rest of it. So they have like a class of about 10 students online. They can all see each other, and the instructor's teaching them. So they're getting taught online the basics, and none of the garbage that is the political powers in the school districts are trying to push out for what they are, their personal agenda. But all the skills that homeschooling does. I've seen a couple of the channels talking about it. I mean, this one girl passed the state test at 14. She had all the stuff, passed all the state tests to graduate at 14. And the school district she was living in was like, "You can't do that. You can't." Yeah, I'm not stupid. Like, you're dumbing everybody down too. One of the things about dumbing people down, I'm trying to remember the program where they went and tested a bunch of kindergartners and first graders for IQ, and it was something like 80% tested out at genius. And they followed these kids through. These particular kids, they didn't change anybody out. They followed these kids through, and by the time they graduated high school, 5%, only 5% of them still tested out as genius. They had been dumbed down by the school system. They don't want free thinkers in school. They want ones that'll sit there. I read. Yes, I read. Oh, yes. This is what you want me to regurgitate. They don't problem solve and actually do things. Exactly. Kids, especially boys, need to have. All right, there was a half-hour recess. You have 2 classes, half-hour recesses. 2 classes, lunch. Half-hour, two classes, half-hour recess, and 2 classes and out of school. And no, they don't do that no more. By the time I was in high school, it had gone down to longer classes, a 15-minute break, and then a 30-minute lunch and a 15-minute break. And if you had enough credits, you didn't have to go do the last 2 classes, and you just went home. But they were kind of picky at what you had to take. In junior year, you had to take U.S. history courses, and even though it was a rural class and they were trying to teach stuff, actual history, because my grandmother was a huge history person and taught all her grandkids real U.S. history. And they're in there, they're reading from stuff, and I'm like, excuse me, but the Encyclopedia Britannica we have from 15 years ago says, no, that's not the way it was. The information has been changed. Oh, yeah, teacher didn't like me. And some of the things around, my grandma was born in 1899. So during the Roaring 20s, she was in her 20s. And yeah, she taught us all about that. But the schools had totally twisted it all around into something totally different. And the same thing about World War I and World War II. I mean, yeah. Anyways, yeah, so homeschooling actually gets the truth out. And so I'm trying to remember which one it was. Which channel. Sorry, I'm just having a brain fart here. It's been a hot day today. They actually went to somewhere and they got a 1960s Encyclopedia Britannica before things started becoming politically correct by the hippie movement and stuff. And so their kids knew real history, not when the history was being changed and changed and changed and changed up to modern times. And it's like, yeah, what a lot of what's being taught is to pass the test, and the answers on the tests are wrong. They're not true history. So that's why some people are going to homeschooling so that they can get it right, and the kids can actually do things. And then one of the other things that, as far as useful skills, is I'm starting to work with my grandsons to teach them proper knife using, care of a little folding knife and using it, and how to sharpen it, and teaching them how to use a hammer and pliers and channel locks and all sorts of tools, the drills and stuff like that. I'm starting them now with they're staying under my supervision probably for the next couple of years until they show that they are proficient in using these tools. But nothing like that is ever taught in school nowadays. If you bring a pocket knife to school, sacrilege, danger, Will Robinson. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Whoever's in charge of that needs to be not just fired and jailed, but made so they can never hold, even if they get out of jail for good behavior, they can never hold any type of government job, federal or state, of any type. Oh man. Let's see, that was what I have on the next one here. Yeah. So basically they want a working drone. They do not want you to have working skills. And that's something that needs to be taught. They are finally, some school districts are bringing back cursive writing. Hopefully they take it back to the basic, because even when I was learning cursive as a little kid, everything was immaculate. And by the time I was in high school, they were doing what the heck did you write there? That's not following what we were taught as kids. They were it's more like cursive shorthand. And it was just, yeah. Then when I went to work for the government, it was, starting with the county, it was like, oh, no, you print everything capital block letters. And there were deputies that, whose writing nobody could read. And they were fighting back saying, why do I need to print? And because you can't write, that's why your writing is atrocious. Working skills, knowing how to do communications, leadership skills, critical thinking skills. None of these are being taught in school anymore. And so, yeah, one of the best critical thinking skills that was ever taught was during recess in the wintertime when everybody was indoors in the gym and they got out the dodgeballs. That was some critical thinking there. You had to think fast and analyze everybody. And, yeah. Hey, Diana's here. But yeah, it is possible. And as grandparents, my wife and I were cleaning out our old books because all our kids were growing up and stuff. And we almost made the mistake of getting rid of a lot of the kids' books we have, and the flashcards and stuff for counting numbers and stuff, and math, cards for adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing. And so we still had those, and so those came up here with me since the grandkids are up here, and now and then I get them in there doing it. You know what? Let me see if I can get something for you here. Hang on a second. I'm going to mute myself so I don't make you guys go deaf. I guess he's too engrossed in watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a game that we have dealing with. It's a square board. It's a single person player. It's a brain game one, and it has a two square locomotive, a 3 square locomotive, 2 square cabooses, a bunch of them, box cars, and freight platforms and stuff. And you get these cards for everything from beginner up to expert, and it has you set the pattern, and you got to figure out how to get the red 2 square train engine off the board. And Danny's been playing that for about a year now, and he gets out there and he'll do it by himself. I played with him for about 3 months on it, showing him how each works, how to turn it over and read the answers to get it out. And so he's in there. His mind is working on it, and he's developed that type of skill better than his older brothers. So it's one of those things that one of those type games. Shortly here, when he gets I'll probably wait until he turns 9, because I think it's I have to check on the box. We got Stratego. It's a 2-person strategy game, and that is that's a working skill, how to figure out stuff and make things work out. And so I'll be teaching him that. And I got was another one called Feudal, which is a mind game, 1, 2, up to 6 players. I've started playing. I started teaching him a card game called Millsborn, which is a European mile game for multiple players. And there are several card games we're teaching, that were, even as adults, we love playing them to get them to do it. Why we have all the Dr. Seuss books that I had when I was a kid, and I show them to them. I open it up, and there it says, has my name in there, and it has 1965, and so that's when I got it. And so we they're starting to read the books. Oliver is a little bit more frustrated. He's 18 months younger than Danny, and even though he's sprouted up and is taller than Danny, he's going to be 6'5" or something by the time, the doctors say, by the time he's full grown. But Danny's reading Hop on Pop, Go Dog Go, a fly went by, a bunch of those Dr. Seuss books that I grew up on. He's already reading it. Yeah. Yeah, the new translations, which aren't translations, they're just conversions to make it simpler to match. Yeah. Anyways, we'll get away from that one. And that's the last one I haven't. Oh no. Oh, hang on, let me switch here. So there's the full pictures of different homeschooling setups. So one's working on the laptop. One of the oldest one's playing the piano. Second, he's got a keyboard. I can't tell what the one in the pink dress is doing. The other one's going through bookwork over there in the corner. And come on, let's go. There we go. I've seen several of them set up like this. Each kid has their own school, own study station, and they haven't set up an activity center where all the kids can get around to work on activities. They got the globe, and each person has their own basket and the cubbies and stuff like that to keep their stuff on. And the only thing I don't see, looks like this is strictly workbook, not much online, unless the laptops come out when it's time for them to do that. Hey! The Broussard Homestead is doing live streams again. And Brett has been promoted to captain. And they're now on using I just lost the Starlink system to get better internet access down there. But yeah, their live stream was Wednesday after several years without it. A real cool one for you to go back and watch. A lot of good information on it there. So yeah. When my wife comes up, when she's not having to stay there in California to help her mom, she comes up. She'll next time she comes up, she'll come up for 2 weeks unless she gets interrupted again. And she's planning to sit down with the three boys that she works with. Eli, but Eli's autistic, so she works with him too. But she wants to work with the other three at one time, sitting in the living room there, and either have them take turns reading books, and she'll help the youngest one pronounce words and stuff, and be going over things with them. Yes, we have 21st century internet now. But yeah, we have plans to spend more time teaching the grandsons about stuff, about the proper American history and stuff. But right now, I mean, even teaching them about something that most of their kids in their class can't do, and that's read an analog clock. And it's like because all they know is to read the numbers as they count off, and even then they're not connecting the dots between. Well, it's 10:30 now. How long before it's 11:15? They still they're still having a hard time because they don't count to 60s in doing math and stuff. It's you go up to 100, 101, and you go over. But so they're trying to teach them to think clock is kind of hard. Yeah, they're starting to teach cursive here again. Yeah, so I saw a reel talking about that some states are passing laws that whatever the school district would have gotten for your kid. Let me go ahead and take it back to here. That's the last picture, right? Yes, the last picture. Whatever the school district would have gotten for your kid and your homeschooling, they have to turn that money over to the parent to do the homeschooling. They can't keep anything out. They got to turn it all over to them because they're not teaching your kid. So, and that's one of the big pushbacks from school districts. Well, we need that money for the other kids. I know you don't. You got the money for the other kids. We homeschooled 2 of our kids. Fantastic experience for kids and parents. Yeah. I wish that we could have homeschooled our kids. They would have, things would probably, you know, they would have had a few more hands-on skills than they do now. You think that's how they get the full kit and caboodle? I think Florida might be one of the ones that listed that do that. They get the whole kit and caboodle what the school district would have gotten. And so, yeah. So if you're lucky enough so that you get the full amount for it, that means you can also afford to get these online courses where they have like they only have like 10 kids in a class, and they have some aides to help out kids online when their kids are on their own time studying, like she's doing there. They can go in and ask questions, and there's somebody there to answer the questions and explain things more thoroughly than what the book says. Yeah. Let's see here. It's, you know, I really wish we could have homeschooled our kids. And we wish that, you know, that it was easy. It would have been easy enough to get the extra money to, you know, do the online courses that were being set up and stuff, and do stuff that way. It definitely would have kept, because our 2 boys were, by the time they were going through elementary and middle school, recess was 15 minutes, one recess, and lunch was a half an hour. And the rest of the time, boys were expected to plant their butts in the chair and nose glued to the book and behave like perfect automatons. I wouldn't say just daycare anymore. I would say that they are indoctrination centers. Yeah. So, yeah, at least up here in eastern Idaho, where the county up here is pretty daggone red, and farmers and ranchers and, you know, cattlemen, other than the main cities and stuff, it's one of those things that, you know, they still have enough push on the city councils to do it. The city councils, the school districts. The one school district, when people started raising things, they banned people from it. And I went down there. They go, "Do you want to get banned?" I said, "Try it. I'll arrest all of you." And they kind of looked at me, what? And I walked up to him and I showed him my hat. "You want to go? You want to take me on?" And they just kind of, I said, "You cannot ban any parent questioning what you're saying unless they start using profanity and everything else. You need to notify all those people you banned and let them know they can come to the meetings again." Well, they're disruptive. No, they're not disruptive, other than to disrupt your private little plans. They have a right to be heard at the meeting, and you have to give them 5 minutes. And yeah, I haven't heard of anybody being ejected or banned from the school board meeting since then. But Yeah, you get someone in to think they have power, and it goes to their head, and their head swells up, and the teachers' unions and stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Brett. Yeah. That's Rockefeller saying he didn't want thinkers; he wanted workers. Yeah. Um, I hate to say it, um, but most universities, unless your granddaughter is well rooted, most universities, that's what they try to do. The ones that don't are religious universities, whether it's the Wesleyan, I can't pronounce it now, the Methodist universities, or the Presbyterian universities, or the LDS universities, where they do not teach the wokeness, and that stuff is not tolerated. That type of stuff is yeah. But then like some of the universities, oh, you got to take 2 religious classes, you know, besides your stuff. So yeah, so there's less partying, which is good. There are more social activities that are aimed away from the booze, which is good. And there's a more right wing, honest history type teaching going on there. Oh yeah, the when I'm trying to remember which grade. It was second grade, third grade. Anyways, my brother, who was 3 grades ahead of me, I started looking at his math book, and I go, okay. I'm reading it, and he goes, wait a minute, how do you wind up with this? And it was a math problem dealing with negatives, and he explained it. It's like you have so much money, but if you borrow money, now you're in debt, or you have a negative amount. Oh, and the next week, the teacher said was doing basic, adding and subtraction, and she goes, can you take 2 away from 1? And everybody goes, no, and I said yes, and she goes, how? No, you can't do that. Yeah, you can. You wind up with a negative number. And she just looked at me. It's like going into debt on your credit card bill. Yeah, that was a teacher parent conference, and my mom, who was a little bit of an accountant, she goes, yeah, he's right. Why are you penalizing him for being able to know this? I said, well, the rest of the kids aren't ready to know this. How do you know that? He's ready. But yeah, so, and she goes, well, we're not teaching that. We don't want him bringing that stuff up. We want him to stick to the curriculum. And so the rest of the year, I'm just sitting there just totally bored, because I'm reading my brother's 3 grades ahead math book at home, and I'm just sitting there totally bored of what she was teaching. Try to go up here. Yeah. So they'll likely try to push the woke. 3-letter agencies do a lot of recruiting there. Kind of yep. And yeah, mine makes mine too. Yeah, it's inexcusable. What they're teaching at school is supposed to be totally open, and parents are supposed to have access to the curriculum, and they're trying to hide it. Yeah, evil doesn't hide anymore. Anyways, so yeah, if you've thought about it, if your kids have thought about it with your grandkids, encourage them to do homeschooling. be there if you can, if you live close enough where you can support them and help take the burden off during homeschooling. Help them do it. Your kids will be better off. Teach them useful skills that they can do. I like some of the channels I follow, farm channels and stuff. And the one was showing her a 5-year-old running a combine, or just running it from point A to point B out to the field. And Dad was bringing up something else behind him in another one. And then the 8-year-old was actually driving the 4-wheel drive farm pickup, following them to get, and it's like, this is how your kid, when he turns 18, can put on his resume that he has 12 years experience running, equipment. And that's what I'm trying to do with my grandsons right now. I've modified the seat on my Coyote tractor so Danny can sit forward on the seat. Seat tips a little bit, but it's not shutting off, and it's hydrostatic steering. So his foot comes off the pedal, the tractor stops. And so I have him going around, teaching him to go around with either the landscape rake on it or the rotor tiller, just rotor tilling the field. And also working with him and Aiden on the ride-on mower. But Aiden doesn't like the mower because it doesn't. When I had him out there doing it, it didn't have bags on it to catch it, and it was blowing back up at him. Anyways, let's just say, yeah. Now, something to also to add to homeschooling. I was just how to say this. It doesn't matter that it was for the original Boy Scouts of America. You can teach it to girls too, because I did to my daughter. The electric merit badge. Teach them about electricity, AC, DC, how to wire a simple wall switch, how to wire a power outlet receptacle. There's a lot of simple stuff like that. Camp cooking in Dutch ovens, cooking in cast iron pans. Hiking skills, whitewater rafting. There's a bunch of skills and stuff that you can take from the Boy Scout merit badge list and teach a lot of really useful skills. Carpentry, crafting, painting, archery. There's a lot of skills that you can teach that they don't teach in schools at all. Exactly. All right, folks. So today is Friday. Tomorrow on Gray Man Prepping for Survival Saturday, the topic is after the mega East Coast tsunami, what are your plans? Monday, back here on Camppatton Family Compound with Tammy at Rebel Canners and Mark at Chef Tech. The topic is jars for canning. We're going to talk about all the different types of jars that you can use for canning. Oh, yes, absolutely. There we go. All right. I'm going to come back to Diana's questions here in just a second. Tuesday on Gray Man Prepping, I'm picking up on a topic that Steve, of course, our trainer, started on, and before he stopped doing streaming, and that is how many vehicles for bugging out. And then, hey, get back in the house there, boys. Yeah, and kids trying to escape when they're not supposed to be going across there. Grandkids supposed to be in there working on their projects. What do you next Friday is what are you doing now to better your homestead? Okay, so to answer this, where can you get those Scout books? Hang on, close that down, and And close that. Boom. Drop that down. So I'm getting it up to show you where it is. Okay. All right. So let me share this here. Okay. So I'm going to bring up U.S. Scouting Service Project. So U, 3 S's and a P. See if it brings it up. There it is. First one comes, I see this on mine, U.S. Scouting Service Project. You go in there. As it slowly loads it up, boom, there's what it looks like. And so here is your advanced Boy Scout advancement program. Go down to merit badges right there, merit badges. See it highlighting in red right there? Click on that. Talks all about it, qualifications, but here on the left, it has the, these are the, how many is it? Is it 22 now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Ooh, they added a new one, took something out of there. What it used to be 21 required merit badges for getting a Eagle Scout. Anyways, you got camping, citizenship in society's new, citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the world, communications, cooking, cycling, emergency preparedness, environmental science, family life, first aid, hiking, life saving, which has to do with swimming, personal fitness, personal management, sustainability, and swimming. Those are required for Eagle, but then it lists all merit badges. Goes from A all the way from A through W for like woodworking. But let me pick one out here for you. Where is it? Plumbing. Click on plumbing, and there's the plumbing pamphlet, and you can find these. You can find a lot of these on Google Docs, and you can download it as a PDF for free. And but it gives you what the requirements are and stuff, and you can download the worksheets, which they fill out to do it, either in a Word format, it says that they can actually write stuff in it, or in a PDF format. I'm not sure what the PDF. I always use the Word one because it prints easier and quicker. But those are how it works. And let me go up to another one here for you, which is electricity. And it talks all about the first aid stuff, how to rescue a person touching a live wire, how to render first aid from a person who's unconscious from electrical shock. But then it goes into the other stuff. Make a simple electromagnet and use it to show magnetic attraction and repulsion. Make a explain the difference between direct current and alternating current. Make a drawing showing how a battery and electric bell work. All right, when I was Scoutmaster, it didn't say make a drawing. It was make a using a battery and a switch and an electric bell, make the circuit and have the kids do it. So I just used to buy all that stuff at Home Depot and do it. Explain why fuses and circuit breaks and stuff, and okay, explain the following terms. But to do 2 of the following: connect an electric buzzer, bell, or light with a battery, have a key or switch in line, make and run a simple electric motor, not from a kit, build a simple rheostat, show how it works, build a single pole double throw switch, hook a electric model train outlet to house circuit, does it. They took out the one, they've took out the replace a, unless that's that might be in a different one here, the home repair. Did they move that to home repair? Yeah, they moved that to home repairs. So, but yeah, they have, replacing a light switch, replacing on a lamp the socket on a lamp to a table lamp, and doing the other one. And Tammy Harder's here. And so, yeah, so you want to know where you can find those skills for the Boy Scout skills that you teach, added teaching the kids and get them more stuff they need to know about. The Boy Scout merit badge list, I think it's 170 merit badges now, has some great stuff in there. Leatherworking, life-saving, landscape architect, inventing, horsemanship, home repairs, hiking, graphic arts, geocaching, gardening. There's a bunch of those in there. Fly fishing, fish and wildlife management. There's a whole bunch of skills in there that schools don't even think about teaching. All right, everyone. That's it for tonight. Take care. Look into homeschooling, even as a grandparent, how you can help do it. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow on Gray Man Prepping for Survival Saturday. Take care.